Hey everyone, Nolar here, back on the 5-9 mobile channel, and we got some interesting news that just dropped in the middle of the Game Awards. It was really short, 15-second teaser thing, but it literally said Google is bringing Android games to Windows in 2022. So to help analyze and discuss what this is all about, I've got Gail along. Say hello, Gail.
Hello, everybody. Looking forward to this one because it seems like everybody really is pushing for bringing mobile games to the PC, which is kind of odd to say, but it is what it is. You know, it's like we had Windows doing it themselves with Amazon's help. We obviously have BlueStacks, doing their server thing. We've obviously had a video on it. Of course, we'll talk about it in this video as well. And now Google themselves are bringing out an app. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, so before we dive right into it, guys, if you are new here to the 5-9 mobile channel and want to hear more about 5-9, about mobile gaming, all that kind of stuff, hit that subscribe button and definitely hit that notification bell so you know when we go live with videos. And at the same time, hit the like button and share with your friends, share with your mama. It helps us out. So Google is bringing Android games to Windows 10, 11, and 10 and 11 actually in 2022. So the interesting thing was it was literally a 15-second teaser trailer. I had the Google Play logo, but it was inverted where it had the controller and then the colors around. So in 2022, players will be able to experience their favorite Google Play games on more devices, switching between a phone, tablet, Chromebook, and a Windows PC. This is really interesting because as of right now, for the most part, if you wanted to play your favorite Gacha game, mobile game on your PC, you'd have to download an emulator, and those are it's inefficient because you're using one operating system inside another operating system. It's not as easy to do, right? So this is going to be kind of cool to check out, but there's a lot of caveats to it. So overall, with the announcement, Gail, what are your thoughts on more ways to play your favorite mobile games on your desktop and laptop?
First and foremost, I agree with you. The teaser was so short. I didn't even realize what they were saying until, I kind of looked at Twitter and I was like, oh, they actually announced they're bringing Android games to PC.
Right.
I think it's a very cool thing. Like the article mentions, being able to seamlessly switch between phone to PC because I obviously play some of my gachas and games on my phone, but then sometimes, if I'm at my desktop, I can have it running in the background or something like that while I'm doing something else. So it kind of helps out in that fashion, I guess, right? Very interesting. Initially, I thought, because of a certain caveat, like you said, right? I thought it would have just been like, oh, you had to stream it from your phone to your PC through like the cloud or something. Obviously, they did mention here that it isn't the case. It's going to be completely run locally. So it is going to be very interesting. And I'm glad that it is also supporting Windows 10 because I don't know about you, Nolar, but I'm not making the switch to Windows 11 until, everybody's like, yeah,
all the bugs and kinks are done.
Yeah, exactly. All the bugs and kinks are, out of the way. It's really, really good that they're doing that. Very interesting. I mean, of course, there's a lot to discuss in terms of will it run everything or will it only run a couple of things, right, Nolar?
Yeah, so what's interesting is right now, if you wanted a native support for your Android apps on Windows, you have to go to Windows 11, which of course Gail and I both agree, it's still a little buggy, things need to be improved. And even then, they partnered with Amazon. So you go to the Amazon App Store, download the apps from there. But of course, the Amazon App Store isn't fully fleshed out like the Google Play one. I mean, everything on the Amazon App Store is on the Google Play one, but not everything on the Google Play one is on the Amazon App Store, right? So just to give you an idea. And so there's that. And some games work. I think Arkhice works perfectly well, and same with Azure Lane. But there are issues because a lot of games now require safety net. And of course, this is the troubled word phrase that everyone has been hearing because of Dokkan and whatnot. But the thing about safety net is it ensures that your app is secure. There's no issues going on with it, modifications and hacking and cheating. And safety net right now, the way Google has implemented, requires specific operating systems for Android, but more importantly, as of right now, it requires a hardware authentication. So there's on every phone, modern day phone in the last, I think, 3+ years, has had a specific chip that green lights that this is, a hardware checked for safety net, which is why emulators are not viable for games that require safety net because they don't literally have the hardware chip. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because, well, right now PCs don't necessarily have that. It might be something that Google can rewire in a way, because there is the TPM or I can't remember the phrasing, but it's a literal authentication chip on PCs that Windows 11 initially required, but they backtracked because not a lot of modern day CPUs have that. So it's going to be interesting, because obviously Windows 10 runs on a lot of systems, older CPUs than what we have today. And obviously coming out forward, there's going to be motherboards and other technological advances that will allow for that. So there's this gray area where, like, okay, even though you can download on the Google Play Store, will it actually work on your computer? Because hell, if it doesn't bypass or if it doesn't check off safety net, it's just not going to work, right? So what are your thoughts on that, Gail, about safety net, and maybe not all the apps are supported initially? Like, what do you think they could do?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big issue, because it's only, to be honest, when we look at gacha games, right? You and I play a lot of gacha games. Quite a few do have safety net, but I feel a majority of them end up being like mainly like Bandai published games and stuff like that. Obviously the most popular, game to get safety net was, of course, Dokkan, right? Recently, especially on the JP version. So assuming that isn't the case, you're already blocking off a certain group of, consumers that won't be able to play their favorite Android games, like they say, on the PC, which is kind of disappointing to say the least, right? But obviously there are other gacha games that should be able to go through that, are able to be played on an emulator, your Fate Grand Orders, your Danmachis, your whatever it may be, right? Whatever games that work on an emulator, that they'll still work, right? So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what they do. Definitely agree. I think they should try and figure out a way around it so that at least players can play it. But at the same time, if they do allow, a potential access again for emulators, then it brings back that whole case of like why safety net was implemented in the first place, to try and avoid, modding and whatnot, right? So I guess it'll come down to like how they can potentially allow it for maybe the app itself, but stop emulators at the same time. I guess that's something that's up to the, smart people over at Google to figure out, not us, I suppose.
Yes, exactly. Now, the other argument I want to say is that more and more these days, there are other games, mobile games, which are getting PC ports straight up, right? We're talking like Bleach Brave Souls on Steam, Last Claudia, Last Claudia, obviously the Genshin games, the Honkais, a lot of the Netmarble games, right? We covered Seven Knights 2, that's natively supported, same with Seven Deadly Sins. So it seems like there's been a lot more support just to have native support on PC straight up, at least on Windows side, not necessarily Mac and Linux, but that is interesting into itself. So even if a game doesn't necessarily check off safety net or whatever for the emulated side for Android, it might just straight up have native support down the line, because if you asked me 3 years ago, would we have support for like straight up between mobile and PC as a regular port, I would have been like, no. Right? But here we are. So yeah, again, and there's other thing. We covered a video a while back, but it was about BlueStacks X, which is basically a streaming service. So you're using BlueStacks servers to play the game on there and then stream it to your web browser. So literally, your PlayStation 5 could play, your favorite mobile game that's running on the BlueStacks servers, or your 10-year-old Android phone, right? Because as long as it's got a web browser, it'll do fine. So there's a lot of ways to, play your favorite mobile games or your apps, and I think for the most part, the interest with Google partnering with Microsoft here in a way is some apps are natively more efficient on the app itself versus the web browser. For example, I'm talking outside of mobile gaming, Instagram. If I wanted to do changes on my Instagram account, I actually have to use the app. I can't use the web browser. It literally won't let me. And same thing with like TikTok. It's a lot more intuitive and much easier to do anything I want, upload my TikToks, whatever, on the app versus a web browser. So the beauty of this collaboration or this supporting is that if I wanted to do stuff on Instagram, I would just bring up the Android app, which would be way more intuitive and easier to use than go to Instagram.com, which I'm the boomer here. Like, that seems so weird and backwards to me, right? So overall, this is kind of interesting. I'm curious to see how this is going to play out. You know, they said 2022. They don't know when. It could be as late as December of 2022, right? So it could be literally a year away, or it could be as soon as like a month or two, because we are like in the end of December 2021. So if you had to wager a guess, when do you think this will come out, Gail?
I would say that the best opportunity might be during one of the big conferences, or game conferences, that is, you know, maybe something like an E3 or Gamescom. I would say more so potentially Gamescom, so September-ish, I would say. It's middle of the year, safe. It's a safe guess as well, putting it slap bang in the middle of the year, right? But I think it's also a good time for them to do it, so that, you know, if they want to promote any games and stuff like that, as well as just their services and whatnot, I think it would be a great opportunity for them. I mean, they have, let's be honest, Genshin is a big like focal point for them. They can, I mean, we saw literally so much Genshin today in the Game Awards itself, right? We had the trailer reveal for the upcoming characters. We had that Google Play ad as well featuring Genshin. So we know Genshin is going to be one of their main focal points for this. So I think if Genshin does something anyways during that period, which we know they tend to do, we've seen them at Gamescom this year as well, I think this is a great opportunity for them to do it then, potentially.
Right. I agree with you there. So yeah, I would say middle of the year as opposed to beginning or later. But I mean, that again, I'm playing it safe, just like Gail is. So with that said, guys, what are your thoughts? Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think this is going to work? Or do you think like us, where safety net might be an issue, where even some of the games you love just won't work initially or at all? So let us know in the comments down below what your thoughts are. Again, like the button, hit that like button if you like the video. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. On behalf of myself and Gail, thank you so much, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. We're out.
Bye-bye.